Happy International Women's Day. It's been a minute. I've been AWOL, adulting, doing so many things. They're actually positive things. It's not like I'm overwhelmed, but I just don't have time to do the podcast. And so I've been away. The things I'm doing, it's not like I want to put them on the podcast now, but in due time, I guarantee that you will be proud of me. But today, I had a little time to myself, and I decided that, let me, kind of check on my podcast, check on, all the things that I'm doing, organize all my thoughts into one place, because I will definitely come back with a podcast. I have great ideas, and we're going to have a lot more fun when I get back. And I opened it, and to my surprise, we're almost a 5,000 plays. And you guys know I haven't been present with the when it comes to podcasts since January 2022. So I looked at it, and as of February, in March this year, you get the statistics at the end of the month. People are listening, and I'm like, wow. So I just decided to pop in on International Women's Day to kind of share my thoughts with you when it comes to International Women's Day. So, I wanted to talk about what it means to me. So, that we've been, throwing the words around equity, equality. Every year there's a new jargon. And this year's word stood out for me in terms of equity. When we say equality, sometimes I have my doubts about it. Equal, I don't think that men and women are equal in strengths, in character, in attributes. But when it comes to fairness, so I will rather say fair wages, fair opportunities, fair, grace. As much as we give men grace, we should give women the same fair amount of grace. So in terms of those equal terms, but equality in terms of attributes and physical nature, I'm not sure what equal. So that's another argument for another day. But I want to talk about equity. When we say equity, what do we mean by equity? For me, the word means justice, justness, fair play, fair-mindedness, fair opportunities, like I've mentioned. If we're going to give women equity in the boardroom, in our political spaces, in our decision-making spaces, in management roles, in equity in terms of even housework, equity in terms of mothering and parenting. Let me not even say mothering, but parenting. How are we going to apply these terms that we keep on recycling and throwing out there each and every year with understanding, so that we're making progress? Because I see that we say these words, but how do we kind of put them into doing? It's a noun. Equity is a noun. And so we use it, we throw it around, we call it. But in terms of it being in action as a verb, how do we use it? How do we tend to apply it into our daily lives? Are we giving, as a woman, you're supposed to be a parent. You're supposed to have certain roles that you play. But have you thought about the women in your workplace? How does equity play out in terms of balancing all these different roles that they need to play? Same for them, for the roles at home. How does equity balance out in such a way that you're not judging the woman who decides that I need help and I'm going to employ staff to help me do it, or I need help, or I want to do this by myself, so I'm going to take time off to be a stay-at-home mom, or I've decided that I can't do all of these things, so I'm choosing one over the other. We have to be gracious in all of these conversations. How about the woman who likes to dress masculine because maybe an experience gave them that idea that, in fact, if I'm seeing this way, and so they've embraced that aspect of their nature, or the woman who wants to be feminine all the time? How do you go about not prejudicing them in their daily activities as we go about. And so if you are raising your children to think that these chores and these activities are just for men and these are just for women, is equity at play? We need to break it down into micro segments so that we understand that it's not just about throwing the words around. For me, it's not just about saying, oh, this is that, or this is the word, or this is the word for the year. But in terms of equity, how are you developing people in such a way that there's equal opportunity, equal wages, equal terms for everyone, or even creating them in such a way that they meet the needs of the person that is actually going to take on that role, be it in the home, be it in the office, be it on the board, be it in politics. That's equity. COVID has shown us that you can work from anywhere in the world. And so how are we applying all these things and having all these conversations that are helping women grow? Because if we look at the percentages, it's not close. And I also think that whilst we are pushing the equity agenda for women, men also need to be pushed to understand that, so that the biases are not being pushed on them, but we all have a fair understanding of each other's abilities, so that we are not just, throwing these words around every year. We come with a new jargon and then we say it and we move on. So just my thoughts on it. It's all over the place because, I usually like to write down my thoughts before I come onto the podcast. But when I just checked on it and I noticed that, oh, you're still with me. And I appreciate that immensely. And so I just wanted to put this out there so you know that, no, I've not abandoned you. I'm just adulting and doing so many things that require a lot of my time. And so the podcast is a labor of love, and it also requires planning. It requires research. I don't just want to come and sit behind my mic and say things, off cuff and give you wrong information, because it's supposed to be a learning and conversation platform for all of us. So it takes a lot of my time. I actually start planning for the podcast a week after I publish on Fridays. So Wednesdays used to be my podcast publishing and writing and scripting days, but that Wednesday is full on my calendar now. So I'll be back, but until I come back, I need you to think about embracing equity even in your minutest of details, so that today doesn't just fly over our heads, but we continue to push forward so that we will all have a semblance of equity in our lives, but both men and women, and we'll be able to balance all the people that we are, all the skills that we have, and we'll be able to embrace each other so that we will live in harmony. So happy International Women's Day, and know that I love you. God bless you for sticking with me, and thank you for always listening and sharing with others. And I didn't start with a song today, but there's a song that I love so much by Nathaniel Bassey and Mercy Chinwo, Blessed, and I've been listening to it, and God has blessed me with this. It's Tobechukwu, and I feel like even before we pray, God knows our hearts. He hears our thoughts. He knows who we are, and He's answered us. So I want to share a bit of it with us with that song.
This is not high life music. This is the highest life music.
And so that's just a bit of it. I urge you to listen to it for yourself and take whatever you want to take away from it. So I leave you with Tobechukwu. I like high life a lot. So yes. Tobechuku, 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 he has done it for me. Tobechuku, 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 he has done it for me. Even before I pray, Jehovah Nisi answered me. Tobechuku, he has done it for me. Away my stress, me victory. Tobechuku, he has done it for me. He answered me. Tobechuku, 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 he has done it for me. Tobechuku, 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 he has done it for me. And I'm in my season of favor, so I urge you go listen to that song. Your Apple Music, Spotify, Boomplay, wherever. It's a great piece of song to start your day, and I usually start my day with it because I know that even before I say God has met my needs and his mercy, I cannot talk about half my journey without God's mercy being a part of my life. So I just want to say God bless you to everyone for listening, and see you soon.